everyone. Today I'll be talking about a big problem with a small solution, which is the high cost of insulin in the United States. So, I'm Brianna Bolin. I am a junior at Miami University and I'm a forensic science major. This is the complex problem I chose to investigate over this semester. And I chose this as my complex problem because my dad is a diabetic, so he takes insulin to regulate his blood sugar. I also think this is a very big issue that not a lot of people know about. So, diabetes is a chronic condition where someone's pancreas just stops producing insulin or produces a very little amount of insulin, and there is no known cure or cause to diabetes. And insulin is a hormone that your body needs because it allows sugar to enter cells and produce energy from it. So, there are two types of insulin there is human insulin and analog insulin. These are both synthetic insulins, they're medications. So human insulin is also known as slow-acting insulin, and it has a total duration of 6 to 8 hours. It reaches its peak between 2 and 4 hours, and it starts working within half an hour to an hour of injection. And analog insulin is also known as fast-acting insulin, and it starts working within 5 to 15 minutes of injection. It reaches its peak between an hour to 2 hours, and it lasts in the body for 4 to 6 hours. So there are two methods of injecting and administering insulin. There is insulin pens and insulin vials. You can see insulin pens on the top, and it is a pen that has the insulin already inside of it. So you just twist the top to the amount you need to administer to yourself. You either stick it in your stomach, the back of your arm, your thigh, you press the stopper, and it administers the medication to you. And then there's insulin vials, and that's on the bottom. It is a vial of medicine, and you have to have a syringe, and you have to actually draw up the medicine yourself, and then you can insert it and inject it. So, why is synthetic insulin important? Well, when an individual has diabetes, their body is producing little to none insulin, and they can't maintain their blood sugar level. And without this, their cells can't take in the sugar to produce fuel. And since they're not taking in the sugar to produce fuel and energy, they're malfunctioning. And when your cells malfunction, it can lead to all kinds of things like comas and ultimately death if you don't regulate your insulin well enough. And so to solve these issues, diabetics can take synthetic insulin, and it allows the body to use sugar as fuel again. So, a major effect from unaffordable insulin is insulin rationing. And insulin rationing is when an individual who has diabetes isn't taking the proper amount, they're taking less of the insulin they need in order and in hopes to make a vial or an insulin pen last longer than it should because they can't afford to buy another one. So, a story about this is Nicole Smith Holtz, her 26-year-old type 1 diabetic son, Alex Smith, died of insulin deficiency only 27 days after he was taken off of his mother's insurance after he got a new job. And he couldn't afford his insulin due to the rising costs and how much it costs, so he decided to ration his insulin, which led to his death. So a lot of people are actually traveling across the border to Canada and Mexico to buy their insulin. So from the article, Americans Cross Border into Mexico to Buy Insulin at a Fraction of the U.S. Cost by Bram Sable Smith are the stories of Michelle Finner and Leah Grinstead. So Michelle Finner's son is a type 1 diabetic, so she decided to travel only 2.5 hours into Mexico to buy her son's 3-month supply of insulin. So this 3-month supply normally would cost her $3,700, but when she bought it in Mexico, it only cost her $600. And then while in Quebec City, Canada, Leah Grinstead's type 1 diabetic's daughter, her insulin spiked randomly. So her family was thinking maybe her insulin was bad. So they rushed to a pharmacy without a prescription because they knew they needed the insulin in fast, and they were willing to pay a fortune, and they thought they were going to be paying a fortune for it. So when they ordered the box of insulin pens that would normally cost $700 in the US, it was only $65. As you can see here, this is the cost of insulin per standard unit, the average cost of the United States compared to other countries. So as you can see, for all insulin, which is including human and analog, averaged together, The insulin in the US costs $98 per unit, whereas in Australia it's only $6.94. In Canada, which is touching our borders, it's only $12 per unit. So as you can see, there's a huge gap between the cost of insulin in the US compared to all these other countries. So the cost to produce insulin in 2018, BMJ Global Health did a study, and their results concluded that one vial of human insulin costs between $2.28 and $3.42 to produce, and a vial of analog insulin costs between $3.69 and $6.16 to produce. And in this figure here, you can see it's a bunch of different insulin brands, pins and vials of US insulin companies, and what they charge, the average they charge per month and per package. And some of these costs are ranging from $122 for one vial to $446 per vial. And the pins are ranging from $100 to about $166 for just one pin or one vial. And then the average price per month, which is averaging 3 vials or 3 pins a month, which is about typical or average for a diabetic, but everyone is different, so every amount is different. These are ranging within the $1,000 for 1 month of medication. So what has been done to stop this extreme cost of insulin? Well, the man here is Frederick Banting. He actually created insulin in 1923. When he created insulin, he wouldn't put his name on the patent for it because he didn't want to get any money from the sales. And he sold the patent of insulin to the University of Tennessee for only $1 because he wanted to ensure that everyone who needed insulin could afford it. And then on July 24th of 2020, President Trump issued an executive order to cap the price of insulin and epinephrine pens. So this order made pharmacies have to sell insulin and EpiPens at the cost the pharmacy bought it for. So this was saving a ton of money because there was no profit on it whatsoever. But this order was sadly reversed by Biden within his first 100 days of office in 2021. So how can this issue be solved? It's so simple how this issue can be solved. By setting a cap price on insulin, it would be solved because people would be able to actually afford it. There wouldn't be price gouging. It would save so many lives. And the article Increasing Insulin Affordability from the Endocrine Society's website explains all the ways that this can be achieved, including programs to help the out-of-pocket cost, like GoodRx. They allow for discounts on prescriptions. They also talk about creating a net sale price, an average price. So this is the big problem with the small solution. Insulin is a necessary medication that diabetics must have. There's no question about it. If they don't have it, they will die. And since diabetics need insulin, corporations are looking at this and they want a high profit, so they're price gouging it because they know people will buy it since they need it to survive. And so by capping it, making it more affordable, you're going to save so many lives because people are actually going to be able to take the amount of insulin they need, and they're going to actually be able to afford the insulin. And the organization JDRF is dedicated to diabetic research, funding, and information. So if you're interested in learning any more about diabetes, about insulin, about what research is being done, I would definitely check out their site. It is a great organization centered around solving and finding a cure for diabetes.